What is going on, Rotogrinders? Dean here. It's Dean 7904 if you want to get all technical. I mean, it's 5:30 on the East Coast, 2:30 West Coast, 4:30 Tennessee time. Of course, it's time for the flagship show here at Rotogrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Joining me today for his first of two shows today, it's Chief Justice Will. I know you're excited for this one. You're excited. We're going to be talking some sports cards later on tonight. It's kind of one would say a quiet storm as far as this slate, just a four-gamer. We'll talk about the body parts in a second, but how are things in your world? Are we all good or what?
Yeah, man, everything's good. I'm just excited, man. You know, I like every slate. I told everybody last week, I think on Thursday, Dean, I said, I'm going to start chasing this qualifier seat on FanDuel. Let's see if we can get in there. Not to put any pressure on myself, but hey, we got a couple of days left. So looks like I will be firing some bullets. We got baseball coming up soon on Thursday. I mean, I'm going to be glued in front of the television. It's kind of a ritual of mine to watch opening day and just kind of watch a lot of the games.
You got a good team too. You're a Braves fan, right?
Yeah. Well, Dean, we've only been good about 2 or 3 years, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's been I've been a Braves fan since I've been a kid, and outside of the Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, Ryan Klesko, Tom Glavine,
Mark Wohlers. Let's keep going.
Yeah,
Bob Horner. How old are you? Dale Murphy.
I'm 34 years old.
Oh,
I still know who those players are. Hank Aaron. I mean, we go down the line. It's been a while. So since the 90s, David Justice was there for a while.
Sure.
It's been a while. So I've always been worried about the pitching. I'm still slightly worried about the pitching. We're gonna need some offense, but our pitching staff did get better. So I'm happy about that. And let's see if we can make some noise. I wish we would have actually signed Corey Kluber. I know he's been I know he's been not good recently, but I mean, I feel like that's like a GPP upside play. You take him while he's cheap, and if he can get back to, let's say, 80% of the Corey Kluber he was when he was like really rolling along in Cleveland, you've got yourself a really good player. That didn't happen, obviously, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm going to get off baseball. This is a basketball show. I'm sure people want to know what's going on in this 4-game slate, and let's have some fun.
Let's say hello to the chat. We do ask you to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. It helps out with the analytics. It helps out as far as keeping the proverbial lights on. We do appreciate that. And we also ask you guys participate in the show. Join us. Fire off some questions. Devin, fabulous multitasking producer. He's going to join the show like the back 20 minutes or so, give or take. And he's going to be asking questions on your behalf. If you're not hearing us talk about players that you're considering rostering tonight, ask us about them. Tell us what site. Is it FanDuel? Is it DK? You're playing tournaments? You're playing cash games? Or just some overarching questions as far as a slate. Is there a team you're not playing tonight? Is there a game stack you like? One last thing on baseball, by the way, less than 2 days away. It starts, of course, April Fools. And I'm waking up early, man. 11:30 show. I'm going to be cranky, but I'm going to be joined by Derek Carty and Blender. It's going to be an awesome show. I mean, that's a great combination because those are two people that think completely differently. So they're great to get different perspectives. And I'm looking forward to that. And just if you guys are wondering, we're going to have baseball shows and basketball shows. And depending on the day, obviously, the opening day is traditionally a lot of early games. So that's why we're going on early. But I was looking at the schedule. I believe like 4:30 is some baseball shows and 5:30 basketball. But, it all depends upon the day as far as the baseball schedule. But for sure, we're going to have baseball content. And Cardi is phenomenal. And Dave Potts, cheese is good. Correct me if I'm wrong, Devin. I'm pretty sure I saw Crunch Time is actually free on Thursday as well, too. And yeah, 2-time millionaire winner, Dave Potts. His musings are incredible. Anybody in the chat, anybody that follows this stuff can confirm when you get RG Premium, it's absolutely worth the price right there as is. He writes it Monday through Friday, and it's the first thing I read every single day. Well, first when it's posted, it's a lot of words, a lot going on there. Hey, how do you guys get RG Premium? You know what to do. You click the link there in chat. You get $10 off your first month. Now you can get it a la carte, just one sport. But why would you do that with baseball around the corner? We're talking basketball now. So you get $10 off your first month, get all the sports. Again, $10 off for that as well. Every single sport with the exception of NASCAR, baseball, football, MMA, soccer, esports, all that good stuff. All right, got the promo out of the way. You want to know the body parts as far as who's in and who's out, and has anything changed since you've been on air?
I don't see anything as of yet, just that they're giving us tomorrow's news, Dean, which we care nothing about currently.
This is DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. It means we care about today and today only. Don't they understand that? All right, yeah, Christian Wood's probable tomorrow. There you go, as is John Wall. Good to know. Tonight, John Wall's former team, Bradley Beal, on a back half of back-to-back, did not play yesterday. He's still questionable with his hip. Hollow Neto's got a rib, so he's questionable. And Daniel Gafford was crushing yesterday, and he had suffered an ankle injury. He's not playing tonight. He's out with his ankle. And then we'll be talking about this pre-show. It's super important as far as the slate, I think. Only 4 games. One game starts at 7, and then 1 at 9, and then 2 more at 10 o'clock. So 1 game early, and then like basically a double header on the back end. And I think that's going to matter as far as, who's in and who's out. And we don't really know. We're probably not going to know when we're setting our lineups for the Clippers. Paul George, out of nowhere, he had a foot injury, and it's the front end of a back-to-back. We talked about this yesterday.
D, we got some news.
What just happened?
Alize Johnson is signing another 10-day contract. It's for tomorrow and doesn't have anything to do with
That's
today,
not boom, boom, boom worthy.
Listen, I just wanted to do that. It's so fun. Like that's like the notification alert you want to hear. That's the fun. That's the most fun one.
We need different degrees of of things, or that one's the light.
That's every notification. We're going to get that. Devin, are we allowed to use that notification on the air? Like, can you plug that one in, or is that one like copyrighted and we can't use it? Please let me know. Like that's the most fun.
We can look into it.
Yeah, let's do that. That'd be a good notification button.
I don't believe him. It says Monk is a game time decision. He remains probable. Okay, yeah, that was the update there. We thought Malik Monk was going to be probable today. That's as far as we know. He's probable still. We know LaMelo Ball obviously still out. Orlando. Oh, yeah. So let me just go through the Clippers. And yesterday we talked about it. I know I sound paranoid with the Clippers, but front end of a back-to-back. Now it's a back end and they're facing Orlando, a team that's terrible. And the Clippers don't really care about this game. They just don't. They don't. In my opinion, they care about, winning the title. So Paul George is questionable with his foot, and we've seen it in the past where Kawhi is rested. And in my head, no chance that both these guys play, like Paul George and Kawhi. I think it's possible Paul George plays and Kawhi doesn't. I don't know. Ibaka
both have a foot.
Well, they have 4 total, but I think George's is actually hurting, allegedly. And then Kawhi does Kawhi actually have a foot, or he's just like he played last night and maybe we'll rest him because it's the Magic and that's what we do?
Well, that may be true. But I'm saying, they both are questionable with a foot injury, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, well, I haven't seen anything about Kawhi being questionable with a foot. That was just in my head. I thought that it's a back-to-back and why would he play? But is there actually something on the injury report?
That could be right. Give me a second. I don't want to lie to the people. My bad.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain there's nothing on him, but that doesn't mean he's not going to not play tonight. Beverly is still doubtful with his knee. We actually think we got an update on those guys, didn't we? I wrote this about an hour ago or so. I think according to Twitter, that stuff did change. Did it not? I'm now scrolling and I'm trying to find it. Say it again. Yeah. Beverly is out.
Beverly, Serge, and Rondo are out. Paul George questionable. That means absolutely nothing that Kawhi is not on this 5:30 injury report, by the way.
I agree.
It means absolutely nothing.
I do not
this is just their way of tricking the NBA, and he goes out and warms up. And so I'm sure everybody's seen this. He pulls a JaVale McGee. I'm sure everybody's seen the highlight where JaVale McGee sets a screen, and then he runs out of bounds like he's hurt. He does his one-hop limp, and he comes back in and scores this layup. I'm sure everybody's seen it. That's what the Clippers are going to do to us tonight with this Kawhi Leonard news.
JaVale's wild because he can look like the greatest basketball player in the world and the worst basketball player in the world in the span of a minute. He just does incredible things and completely bizarre things. By the way, why did JaVale not play last game? I thought that was so weird. But I thought he was going to back up Jokic. Green was the straight backup, and maybe that'll change tonight.
It was a blowout. They probably didn't need him. Maybe it was the matchup. They didn't get. They brought JaVale over for just for him to be there in the playoffs and give him some energy. Maybe talk to him about championship aspirations. JaVale's won a couple championships now. Who's counting? He just keeps winning championships.
Has he? With the Lakers?
He's like the new Robert Horry. Wherever he goes, they win a championship. That's why they got him. He's the good luck charm. In fact, if I were you, I'd be headed to the sports books right now. Now that I'm thinking about this, Nuggets for the win. JaVale McGee is a championship magnet at this point.
So is Boogie Cousins, right? Well, why would you not sign Cousins? There's a champion. So Orlando, Terrence Ross, the captain, is actually going to be he's probable tonight, expected to play. MCW, Michael Carter-Williams, he's probable as well with his knee. Kareem Mane is questionable with the hamstring for what it's worth. Phoenix is basically fully healthy. Nader's out, but that's essentially it. Monte Morris still out for Denver, otherwise they're fully healthy too. So overarching things in the slate, the clear and obvious one is if Beal doesn't play, you play Westbrook. Duh. And that's the first.
Dean, and once we get past that, I do want to talk some tournament tactics today, because my specialty on small slates is just immediately get rid of bad chalk. Like, I just do it every time.
What's the bad chalk?
Well, no, you go ahead and talk, man. The problem is there might not be any, and that means we got to figure out a way to fade some people or use some differentiators. So as we go along, man, that's something I did. I came onto this show purposely to key in on tournament differentiation today. Like, that's the key on this slate. If you want to take it down, and you can still make good money playing the guys that are in the good spots, but you're going to need some differentiators, and that's going to be my key tonight. But anyway, Dean, you go ahead with what you were talking about.
That should be the conversation. That's the conversation. Let's have that conversation. Why do we backburner that? Because how do we get different on this 4-gamer? And again, well, do you think Beal's going to play? Should we even entertain that, or just wait for news to drop and then react?
Here's the thing. I think whether Beal plays or not, Westbrook's in play. So let's just call that what it is, right? So that way you don't have to deal with that in your mind. I think the other differentiator is this: like, if Beal is out, then that probably makes Rui Hachimura a very strong play, right? If Beal is in, you can still play Rui, knowing that his ownership is going to be lower in what is essentially what I would consider to be probably the most up-tempo matchup, of the night. So I'm kind of in a space where I'm trying to lean on whether I'm going to play Rui no matter what, because essentially he's still going to get there, especially with no Daniel Gafford. They don't really want to play Robin Lopez. Like, I still think Rui gets his 35 to 36 minutes. So that's kind of a decision I've made. I think Chandler Hutchinson's value is for sure tied up into Bradley Beal's value, right? If Beal is out, now you can play Hutchinson. And I think that'll also help you get some exposure to Denny. Like, I don't have a problem with Denny because he's still going to get 30 minutes, but I don't really want to play Denny unless Beal is out. That's kind of my lean. Secondarily,
I would just add
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would just add, no, just chime in. If Neto is out, that opens up a better opportunity as well too. Like, he's not grabbing a ton of minutes, but those minutes have to go somewhere. That's probably those guys.
Yeah, Jerome Robinson will probably play more minutes. Like, he played 20 minutes last night, but Neto played. Like, maybe Jerome Robinson gets 25. You know what I'm saying? Like, that feels reasonable.
He was in foul trouble too.
Yeah. So I mean, I still think he gets there. I think your differentiators, right, are going to come from, in my opinion, the Philly game. And here's what I mean by that. You've got Danny Green, who's going to be playing big minutes still, and nobody wants to play Danny Green. All we want to do is puke in our mouths. But I looked at it today. Since Joel Embiid has been out, Danny Green's got about a 70% hit rate right now. Meaning, out of 10 games, Danny Green's gone over value, like completely over value. He's had duds in 3 of them. We've seen Danny Green get to 40-plus fantasy points in one of those games. And out of the next set, he's probably been over 30, let's say 4 or 5 times out of that 7. Danny Green's got upside because they do need him to score. So I think in terms of differentiating, Danny Green at 4,800 is very appealing on DK, and at 5,400 on FanDuel is very appealing. I'm not sure where the ownership is on DK right now. Dean, if you can grab that, please, sir. I'm going to grab the ownership for FanDuel.
Currently 28%, which I don't like that at all.
Okay. And on FanDuel, he's 14%. On a 4-game slate, 14% is extreme differentiation. Like you can get that. You can find some guys at 6%, of course, but at 14% for a guy that can get you 6X, like that's differentiation, right? I'm looking at here. We've got Rui at 13. Obviously, if Beal is out, that's probably going to hop to about 40 immediately. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when that hops to about 40, Danny Green may in fact go down to about 8. Because why? More people will be stacking Hayward and Rui together. That's going to be the combo, at least according to our ownership projections. We've got Hayward projected at 42%. Also, what that's going to do is, so Seth Curry is another differentiator. You're not going to feel comfortable, but what you're doing is you're taking guys that are going to have minutes that can get you 5.5 to 6X in the right environment. So Seth Curry is going to be another differentiator on both sides. Well, why is that? Because on FanDuel, I'm going to use FanDuel and DK. On FanDuel, you're going to have a lot of people playing Devontae Graham and Terrence Mann. If Beal is out, right? Like that's kind of the go-to combo. Now, maybe Luke Kennard bumps up later in the night, but you don't feel comfortable putting Luke Kennard in your lineup unless you know for sure Kawhi and Paul George are out. And I don't think we're going to have that news at lock. So I don't see a lot of people feeling comfortable enough to say, let me plug in some Luke Kennard without knowing the news. Terrence Mann has been playing no matter what. So I think people are comfortable playing him or will be comfortable. And on FanDuel, we've got Curry projected at 18 and Mann projected at 12. So maybe Mann is the leverage play on FanDuel, at least without the news. And I think he's in play regardless. But it's just kind of finding ways to differentiate. Here's another differentiator. You're not going to feel comfortable, and this is in another game, because we don't know the status. We don't know how many minutes he's going to play. And he's also very expensive. And that's a guy like Terrence Ross. Now, I'm not saying I want to go play Terrence Ross because essentially what they've been doing is playing all the wings 25 minutes. But Terrence Ross essentially is the guy right now. Like, essentially, if he played 35 minutes, he's your 40-point scorer from the Magic. Now, he's
Do you think they start him?
I mean, God, are they going to keep starting Dwayne? Maybe they don't, Dean.
Yeah.
But he essentially, he's the upside guy in Orlando, unless they're really just like not interested in giving him run because they have all these young guys. I don't feel as comfortable with Terrence Ross as I do some of the guys, but I'm just talking about differentiators, guys that you can use that have upside or some form of upside that you're unsure about, but maybe you plug them in and they get you there, right? Those are the types of guys I think you're going to have to look at on this particular slate. I don't like anybody from Atlanta today. Essentially, I really don't.
Why would you?
I mean, I don't. But on Phoenix, I don't mind a Mikal Bridges, right? A guy that's going to get big minutes. I don't mind. Well, and this guy's already out, but maybe, and this is a sneaky play as well. He's picked up a few minutes here and there. Torrey Craig is kind of a differentiator on the very low end. Now, I'm not telling you I like Torrey, but I'm saying in deep tournaments on DK, right, where you're looking at Torrey Craig here, he's 3,300. That's a differentiator getting you away from somebody like Denny or Jerome Robinson. Now, he doesn't have the upside because his max is probably 20 minutes. But, essentially, if he dials up some defensive stats, this is one of those guys, he gets 25 at the end of the night, outscores Robinson by a point, and it's like, oh, my gosh. He helps you take down a tournament. So I kind of wanted to go over that. I think RJ Hampton may get a little popular, possibly. But those are kind of some of the things I want to go over in terms of differentiators, because you really have to dig deep on this slate for those types of things. You're not going to see a lot of ways to get completely different. So you have to kind of think outside of the box. Those are just some of the plays I was looking at to try to get a little different.
Yeah, okay. There's only 4 games, right? But the Atlanta side facing Phoenix, 6-point dogs here. Atlanta, since McMillan's taken over the 12 games, I was corrected on this on Twitter by like a fraction of a point or whatever. I said they were the slowest team in basketball as far as pace. Now the Heat are just a tick slower because they played 13 games. Doesn't matter. They've been playing super, super slow. Phoenix also plays slow, but bottom 5 in pace in the entire season, and they're top 5 when it comes to defense. So like, there's no reason, and there's no discount on Atlanta. There's no reason as far as math to play anybody Atlanta. You're just betting on variance. You're betting to be different. And sure, of course, Trae Young could score 40 like real life points in the bucket. That absolutely can't happen. It's less likely to happen on any given day today, as opposed to, a random day, but it can, sure. So yeah, it's hard to like any of that stuff. And one of the things I'm doing tonight, one of my approaches is going to be, I'm going to build some lineups under the assumption that one of George or Leonard is out, one is in, maybe both are out. That wouldn't shock me either. Again, like, it's Orlando. They're terrible. Clippers don't care about this game. George is technically injured, and it's a back-to-back for Kawhi. We've seen it before. Oh, yes, I'm going to artificially bump up, Morris and Mann, maybe Kennard, maybe Arjax. I think all those guys are kind of interesting. And the tricky thing is, again, 4-game slate, 1 game early, 3 games late, 2-hour difference. Maybe we get Clipper news before the Philadelphia-Denver game starts. If not, you're kind of putting yourself in a box. We talked about it last night as far as Hartenstein. If you had the patience to wait for Hartenstein, which, by the way, we talked about, the other thing is we said, like, he had that combination of starter / also mop-up guy. You don't get that very often. That's a great combination to have. Like, guy's going to mop up and start. And that's what he was last night. And if you have the patience to wait for Clippers, now maybe Paul George and Kawhi both play. And like, you still can get there with Morris. You still can get there with Arjax. Obviously, it's a tougher squeeze. You don't feel as good about it. But that's kind of what I'm going to be betting on as far as making some lineups tonight. And I'm going to artificially bump up some of those players because I just think that's what's going to happen because we've seen it before. Yes. That's my general. And the other thing is I'm looking at optimals. I'm running some optimals, and I'm seeing dudes like here. Who's popping up in optimals? Like, this is not good. This is not something I'm happy about. But we're seeing Cam Johnson and Cam Payne projected for like 16, 17 fantasy points, landing in optimal lineups. Like, who wants that? Now, of course, if Westbrook puts up 70 and Jokic puts up 70, you probably could survive those 15s or 14s or 17s, right?
Yeah, and D. Yeah. While you're on that subject as well, in terms of, because we're talking about different, I want to go back to differentiators for like a split second, and then we'll keep going with like this Cam Johnson talk. Ivaka Zubac is going to be a differentiator tonight as well at 5,900 on DK, 6,200 on FanDuel. I just don't see the masses going there. But if Paul George and Kawhi are out, essentially, he's got an opportunity to really do some damage. Not saying he's going to get extra minutes, but because he's already at around 31 minutes or so without Ibaka playing. But I feel like this opens up his opportunity for maybe a few more shots in the post, and maybe that pushes him from maybe a 14 to 15 point score or 12 to 15 point score to like 15 to 20, which can take him from 35 to 40. Or 31 to 36, 37, and now you've got somebody that hey, they've got no value here. Just want to plug him in as well.
Hey, does Dwight Howard last all 4 quarters tonight, or is he get ejected for a 3rd straight game?
Listen, that's an anomaly. Dwight isn't going to get ejected tonight, and I do think he's I do think he's a good play tonight. Now I will tell you this, as a matter of fact. Let's see who can, in the next 5 minutes, let's see who can guess my locks of the day. I've got 2 locks of the day.
Was that one of them?
There are 2. No matter what happens with the news, these 2 guys are going to be in my lineup. Let's just see who can guess that today, Dean. I know we don't really have it. Yes, on FanDuel on this one. On FanDuel. I know we probably don't have any incentive. Guys, let's go ahead and start plugging that in. Let's see who can guess. I've got 2 locks. We're gonna go 5 minutes. That'll take us up to about 6 o'clock. Devin, what can we do, man? Can we reward the people on a 4-game slate? I'm trying to think here. Is there anything we can do to incentivize people to try to guess these locks of the day? Let's go. Let's go with a comfortable, soft Rotogrinders 10-year anniversary t-shirt. I'm sure we've still got some of those. Listen, folks, these things are comfortable. They're not Hanes or Gildan or Fruit of the Loom. These are the real deal, okay?
Shots at Hanes.
Yeah. These are the real deal shirts here. We got them coming in. Man, I like this. Let's see who guesses it. Oh, wait a minute. Stop. CK Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Man, that was quick today, Dean. We won't even make it to 6
Well, there you go. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You have to
CK Jones already has it. Westbrook and Jokic, no matter what. Okay, I don't care what happens with the news. I will have Westbrook and Jokic in my lineup, period. Doesn't matter what happens today. Beal can play. Kawhi can play. Paul George and Kawhi can play. Paul George could sit. Kawhi could play. Kawhi could sit. Doesn't matter what happens. I'm locking in 100%. Jokic and Westbrook, and we're gonna roll from there.
If Howard puts up like 35 and Jokic puts up 55, do you feel like you're in trouble?
Say that again.
You're talking FanDuel, so one center specifically, right? Say Howard puts up 35 and Jokic puts up 55. Do you feel like you're in trouble?
I do not,
because of raw points. And you
raw
can make
points.
It up.
Yeah, raw points, and I'm banking on the rest of my lineup getting where I need it to be, because what's going to happen is I'm going to end up with a slightly different lineup construction. I think most people will, especially if Beal is out, I think what will end up happening is most people will play Westbrook, and maybe they start getting away from Jokic. Maybe.
We saw it over the weekend. Over the weekend, it was like a 3 or 4 game slate, and there wasn't a ton of value, and Jokic he was maybe like 15-20% in some tournaments.
Right.
On FanDuel, he's like 15%. And like it was a blowout, and you can point to the scoreboard and say, see, I was right to not play him.
But he played 28 minutes and he put up 50. I was watching it.
Yeah.
And if he gets normal run, the slate's over. He's hitting 65, 70 easy. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Howard is a good dollar for dollar play on FanDuel, but then it's just a matter of lineup construction and all that. Jokic, of course, I presume is going to outscore him. I'm going to play both angles because I can't take a stand apparently. And by the way, what's one more T-shirt? Because Kevin Roth ran the Beat Mean Dean tournament for RG Premium guys on Crunch Time last week, and I'm not clutch because I finished. I was doing well previously, and he was like he wanted us. He was just, he basically said anybody who beats me gets a free T-shirt, and I think I finished 16th out of 30, which is
Dean, you're just wasting the company money. I'm
just
kidding.
Not like me
hey,
now.
CK Jones, hit me up on Twitter or hit me up in the on Rotogrinders in my DMs. Either way.
Pew 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 pew. Is that the sound? You do it so much better than me. Okay, so I wish this wasn't the case.
NATO and Bradley Beal are out. Ladies and gentlemen, there we go. This is exciting. Let me go ahead. Let me see here.
Is it exciting?
No, it is, Dean.
Yeah.
It really is. Because what I need to do now is I didn't reserve my multi-entry build today, so I'm feeling kind of bad. I reserved all my single entry stuff, but my multi-entry build, I'm actually a little afraid that I may not. Yeah, see, we're 89% full. Yeah, dude, you go ahead and talk. Let me.
You and everybody else, for the record, is going to play Westbrook. I know he's one of your locks. He's everybody's lock. Recency bias. You have the salary, all the reasons in the world. There was a time where Westbrook wasn't playing back-to-backs, but like I assume even like in 35 minutes he should be fine. And of course, we haven't talked about Charlotte a ton. It's a great matchup against Charlotte, and the Charlotte side is going to be super popular as well too. And we're kind of at that spot again where it's a 4-game slate. There's one early game. There's 3 that are later. But the early game is the most appealing, and people are going to load up on it. And I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with that. But now with Beal being out and Halo Neto being out, Robinson is interesting. Hutchinson's interesting. If you want to be super ambitious, you think Garrison Matthews can hit some threes. We'll wait for the starting lineup, obviously. Len is another guy that just because, there wasn't a ton of value, and he can, on occasion, just go nuts and play 25 minutes. But Westbrook, you just play Westbrook. Denny Avdia you can play as well too. Nothing sexy there, but he's cheap and he should get a reasonable amount of minutes and probably should not hurt you. And we also mentioned Hachimura, similar price to what he was yesterday. Now, the only drawback on him for me is he's just basically a 2-category guy, but that should be enough. Like his points and boards should be enough this evening. And he'll sprinkle in a little bit of the other stuff, but not much. I'm going to go ahead and bump Rui in my projections to 35 fantasy points. And that's probably aggressive, but that's just the way I do it. Like if a guy's out, and he's kind of the second guy, I'm going to bump him to 35.
I always, and I think I've talked about this before, all my stud players, Westbrook, Harden, Giannis, Luka, Jokic, I always project those guys for 60 points every day, no matter what. I don't care what the slate is. They're always getting projected for 60. Westbrook, I'm probably going to just bump to 65 tonight and keep Jokic at 60 and then keep my bill moving along here. But that's kind of what I'm going to do. Obviously, we know that Chandler Hutchinson is probably going to be in play now for sure. Like, you got to think he's going to get 25 minutes, especially with Gafford not playing. Mm-hmm. So this should open it up. And what that's also going to do, I'm going to start fading guys that are fringe players like Bogdanovich. Like, and that might be the wrong thing, but I don't want to waste lineups when you got a 4-game slate. I want every lineup getting as close as it can to the nuts, right? So I don't want to do that. I may end up fading a guy like Michael Porter Jr. As good as he's been recently, I don't know if I need him. So those are kind of some of the things I'm going to be going through in my build now to try to see, where I end up as we get closer and closer. Nicholas Batum is a guy right now, and I didn't talk about him. He's almost a guy I would possibly keep and maybe get about 10% of, because if Kawhi and Paul George sit, I don't think he's going to be that high owned, and 10% will probably be enough for me to get there in the event that he's out. And look, this might be aggressive. I'm not playing Gordon Hayward at all. And if he drops 45, hey, I'll live to see another day. I've been fading Gordon Hayward almost exclusively every slate.
Is he still hurting?
I don't know. I don't have anything against Gordon Hayward, right? It's not that. It's just I don't see the upside consistently enough for me to be paying $7K on this slate, where I feel like Rui Hachimura can do the same thing at 5,700. I'd rather just fade him, take my chances with 100% Rui. Oh, and I did. Okay, so now let me give you my core here. And this is on FanDuel. This is very aggressive today, folks, okay? Very aggressive. You don't have to do this. I'm just telling you what I'm doing because I want to get as much leverage as I can. I've got 5 guys locked in on FanDuel. Listen, that is crazy, I know, but it's just the way I play. I've got Westbrook, Graham, Rui, PJ, and Jokic. All 5 are locked in. I'll just build around those 5 guys, and if it goes wrong, hey, I'll live to see another day. But as of right now, that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm only going to have a few guys at each position. I'm not spreading it thin at all, and we will see how this slate shakes out.
But I just want to read Rui's minutes played his last 10 games. 36, 35, 41, 34, 40, 39, 38, 37, 38, 21.
I think he plays at least 38 tonight. I think that's where we are with Rui, especially with no Daniel Gafford. Unless it's a blowout of some sort, that's where we are.
He's been playing a ton of minutes. Just a minute or so, Devin's going to join us, asking questions on behalf of chat. Again, feel free to fire up a question. We haven't talked about a player you want to know about. Ask about that player. We'll talk about him. Let us know what site you're on, if you're doing tournaments, if you're doing cash, all that good stuff. Anything else? Oh, yeah, give me more thoughts as far as Charlotte, because they were kind of one of the, that's your team as well, too. And, Monk being back, both bridges are in play tonight, the one on Phoenix, the one on Charlotte as well. Rozier, interesting note from Meansy's article today. He was talking about how Rozier had 12 potential assists last game, but I think only 1 was completed. So that should go up. Expect more than 1 assist as far as the last game. Of course, he's been getting a boost with the exception of Ball from the team. Washington, do you assume Washington takes over that 5 role and Bismack lets it go? Because, hey, maybe we see that against Washington. Maybe they don't need a center. And maybe Bismack needs Len and Len needs Bismack. Is that kind of how that works too?
Yeah, but I'm not playing Bismack or Cody Zeller. I'm not worried about it. They're running a lot of PJ. The coach talked about wanting to get PJ at the 5 a lot more anyway. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing Miles Bridges play more minutes because they're out and running. Listen, don't look now. Charlotte's in the playoffs. We want to keep winning. Bismack Biyombo is not the winning formula for the Charlotte Hornets right now. It's PJ Washington at the 5. It's this small ball. Let's get out and run. Let's be exciting, right? And that's the way we're going to have to play. Now, are we going to get out of the first round? Maybe. As of right now, we got a date with the Knicks. I think that changes by the time things shake out.
The playing game?
No. We're 4 and 5, Dean. We're not at the bottom of the list.
I have no idea.
Are you following the standings? What's going on?
Come on,
here?
who cares with the standings? I'm a Miami fan. I think they're like 6 or something. I don't know.
Are they 6th? Yeah.
No, they want to run off a bunch of wins. They're probably like 3 now, aren't they?
No, Dean, not at all. You need to check the standings. You can't even, Dean. Let me give you where Miami is right now. Okay. In fact, if it ended today, Miami would be in the 8th seed. They'd have to play.
What? Did not know. It must be like jam packed, right?
They're 4 and 6 in their last 10. Dean, what? You're not.
What are you doing? They ran up like 9 in a row.
No, well, that ended about 10 games ago because they're 4 and 6 in their last 10.
In my defense, by the way, Charlotte is 23 and 22 and they're in the 4 spot, and Miami is 23 and 24. Same thing. Just 2 losses and they're in the 8th spot. So.
It's not the same thing. Well, we don't. If the season ended today, the Charlotte Hornets do not have to play in. The Miami Heat have to play in against the Pacers and Bulls. So it's not the same. It's absolutely not the same.
Pacers are going to get there. Miami's going to get there. The Bulls are actually going to play.
The Celtics are in the 7th seed. What does that tell you?
Oh, it's so weird. Like if you shuffle, it looks like it's backwards almost. Well, not completely, but
it may look backwards, but that's where we are today. Charlotte's just got to keep winning the games that they can win.
And the Raptors are just so terrible. Oh, they're worse. They're 18 and 29, and they look worse than that. All right, let's bring Devin on. Enough. Who cares about this? It's his daily fantasy sports, man. But yeah, that is very interesting. I had no idea that Charlotte was.
Oh, I did. I absolutely.
Can LaMelo come back? Is there any chance he comes back?
I don't think he's coming back. I think he's out for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's out for the year.
Devin, say hello.
Hi.
Shame me for not knowing the standings.
I mean, I'm just sitting here behind the scenes thinking to myself, I know so little about any sort of placement, tournament, and none of the standings. It's just like it's toilet paper math. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's
Listen,
you have other things.
I'm an avid fan. Charlotte has been at the bottom. I know Dean is on Team Tank, but look, you got to get. But here's why I think Team Tank misses out sometimes. You got to get your team in the playoffs to get the experience. Look at the Chicago Bulls. Look at the Pistons. Look at the Golden State Warriors. Look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Look at the Miami Heat when LeBron went there the first year. Like, you got to get some experience in the playoffs so you can get back there and repeat. Look at Denver. Look at Utah. Look at all these teams that have been trying to win. That's why I'm always an advocate for, if you've got a mediocre team, you need to try to get in the playoffs and make some moves at the same time. I'm not saying keep taking the same team back to the playoffs 3-4 years. I'm saying take your young guys, get into the playoffs, and keep getting better. That's my point.
But my only retort to that, and I'm sorry, Malik Monk is out, by the way. That's interesting.
Miles Bridges, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy.
We don't need the sound effect. We just need Will on the show.
Johnson
and Miles Bridges and Bradley Beal and Holland all get the same sound. We have to.
I'm telling you right now, Miles Bridges, man. Let me go ahead and start bumping that Miles Bridges exposure up right now. Man.
Well, while we're
do we care about the Martin twins or no? They're going to get some minutes.
One of them is going to play, and it's probably Caleb, if I had to guess. Hold on. Let me make sure.
I don't want to play the Martin twins.
No, or is it Cody? It might be Cody. Hold on.
I don't know which one's which.
It's Cody. It's Cody Martin. Sorry. Cody will get some minutes. See, I got to get Cody in my build now because Cody can pick up 25 minutes, get you, 20 fantasy points here.
Well, while we're talking about the Charlotte news, we'll start from the bottom and go up. William was asking FanDuel Core, did you say PJ Washington?
Oh, yeah. Lock button city.
All right.
I like it too. I love him on FanDuel. Love him.
So Matthew started us off with FanDuel GPP favorite play, and that may now be a completely different favorite play than it was at the beginning of the show.
How do we get different?
My favorite play?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, if you want my off-the-board favorite play, let's go with that. It's Danny Green at 5,400.
Sure.
He's my favorite off-the-board.
That's probably the one for tonight with the 4-gamer.
Yes.
DK GPP for legit. The three Bs, Bridges, Barton, or Bacon. Only playing one lineup today.
Which Bridges? You have to tell us which Bridges. There's 2 Bridges.
That's a good point. Legit. Follow up with
No.
Oh.
Well, yeah, because they're all at different positions.
Yeah.
Was it DK or FanDuel?
It was DK tournament.
Oh, well, you can play any of them. I'd probably go Miles today. Now that whatchamacallit is out. I think I'd go Miles.
Alec wants to know, FanDuel tournament, large field. How do we set ourselves up to use swaptionality? That wasn't what they used, but I added that to it. Pending the Kawhi PG-13 news, a locking man no matter what. So I guess how would you set yourself up for large field tournaments on FanDuel?
I think you proceed with every other game that you like. At this point, I wouldn't even worry about Kawhi or Paul George, to be honest with you. I don't think either of these guys make or break this slate. And that's something I guess I didn't talk about on the front end. I don't think Kawhi or Paul George make or break the slate. So if one of them plays, I don't feel like the other one's going to be in the winning lineup. However, it will open up for maybe one extra value like Luke Kennard. Here's why. Marcus Morris is already going to play 28 to 30 minutes. Terrence Mann is already going to play, 28 to 30 minutes. Reggie Jackson is already going to play 25 to 30 minutes. The only guys I think you're worried about if one of them sits or both sits, is like a Luke Kennard or Nicholas Batum. I don't think you're really worried about anybody else from the Clippers. Dean, what say ye?
I would just say Kennard is 3-5 on FanDuel, and that's interesting.
But will you need Luke Kennard to take that? Maybe. But I think if you're multi-entering, you just okay. So let me say this. I didn't tell the people this. I'm sorry.
But Morris is a fine play as is. You mentioned Morris.
Right.
I think on FanDuel he's 4-5, and that's fine. He's one of the best power forwards. No
He's
matter
4-5 on DK as well.
No, I think he's 5-1.
No.
Am I wrong? It's possible. I've been
well,
wrong
he might
plenty
be.
on this show.
What?
Here's the thing, guys.
He's 5-1 on DK.
Okay.
Right.
Either way, I still like that price. Let me say this. I didn't say this earlier. I'm not playing Kawhi Leonard or Paul George at all. If one plays, if one sits, if both are in, I'm not playing them at all because I don't think I need them to win a tournament today. That's my take on it. So I'm just going complete fade on both. I don't care what they do. I'm hitting the X button.
Gotta take
You don't
stands.
have to follow me. That's what I'm doing today.
Maybe Tobias Harris can be a differentiator. I think people aren't going to be willing to spend that salary, but of course he benefits the most when Embiid's off the court. Simmons is still fine, but like it's incremental as far as whatever he gets added with Embiid. It's the way his game is, and I don't think people are going to play a ton of Harris. Maybe I'm wrong on that read, but just the way things are kind of shaking out, people are going to play Westbrook. That's going to happen. So then, if you're considering Jokic, if you're considering what's your second big spend? One of the Clippers, whichever one's left standing, maybe both play. Who knows? Rozier, I think, is popular and for good reason. The Monk news certainly doesn't hurt him. All the Charlotte Hornets, I think, incrementally get bumped up. Washington, Hayward, Graham, Rozier, and Bridges, like all five of those are pretty interesting and really good chance, like you're talking about, as far as this game going small. And Biyombo, getting kicked off the court and Washington play the 5, which I think would hurt Alex Len. I think that would hurt Alex Len to some degree. All right, Devin, you have some more questions. Fire away.
Do. And while we're on that subject, Donnie was asking for DK tournaments. With it being 4 games, Orlando seems like they're getting overlooked. What about Okike at that price and minutes, even though it's not the best matchup?
I like Okiki.
Any other Orlando pieces you'd be interested in?
He got some good coach speak. I'll give him that.
Not too many. I mean, I talked about Terrence Ross as a real long shot, and if he gets 35 minutes. But I'm not really high on Orlando with everybody getting 25 minutes. Okiki and Bacon did play over 30, but outside of that, and Ross is coming back, which is going to mess things up again. That's where I am there.
All right, Edwin wants to know, DK tournament single entry, would you do a balance build perhaps today?
Oh, no.
That means no Westbrook, so the answer is no, right?
No. Can't do that today. Not on this small of a slate.
Moses asking on FanDuel tournaments, am I nuts for fading the Orlando Clippers game?
No. Outside of maybe Terrence Mann and some other values, I think you are good.
Maybe Mann and Okike if you needed to get somebody from Orlando. K-Mac,
Yes.
FanDuel tournament, Ayton or Zubac?
Tournaments, Zubac. Sorry.
It's all good. Morningwood wants to know, DK tournament top play not named Russell Westbrook. Dean, you touched on Harris, perhaps. Any others up there?
Well, I mean, Jokic is the answer,
Jokic.
but I think the ownership will probably reflect that. I would imagine so, especially with this stuff opening up in Washington and making it just easier. It's a little more comfortable to play the guys on Washington as opposed to the cheapies on Phoenix who were popping not too long ago, which I imagine aren't nearly as popular. But I think it's pretty clear, right? Like Westbrook and Jokic, and then there's a gap, right? Wouldn't you agree with that, Will?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dean, we'll stick with you for FanDuel cash from Chad. Hutchinson versus Denny Avdia.
Ooh. I assume it's Avdia just because he's starting, and we have the official starting lineup. It's Robinson's back once again for what it's worth. That doesn't mean as much at Washington, and it's hard. You pull up the on-off stuff, the court IQ stuff for Washington, and you try to figure out their rotations. Good luck, man. I can't figure them out sometimes. It's one of the more confusing ones. So certainly Hutchinson can get hot, and they traded for him. He was good last game. He wasn't good with Chicago. Yeah, there was that tweet he had with another man's trash. He was like, I guess things didn't end well there in Chicago. So
you got to love the Twitter speak.
Yeah, you got to. We mentioned the Ross one. He's like, he had the "I am the captain now" gift.
I saw that. Amazing. That was pretty great.
I love that. And he can be like, if he starts, he can shoot like 28 times tonight. I don't know if he's going to start or not. I don't think they give him full minutes. And why would they? Like, what does it matter? But if they let him go, like if you don't have to ask Ross twice to ask to shoot, keep shooting. Okay, yeah, I'll shoot 30 times. It's happened before.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, yeah, and he's expensive. He's $7K or $6.9 in FanDuel.
And just so you guys know, I'm running 50 lineups on FanDuel tonight in the $5. I was so far behind on my build, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get it in time. So I just had to reserve 50 lineups. But I'm locking in 5 guys, so I already know it wasn't going to give me like 100 anyway. It's just the way that it works. So just want to, make sure I give everybody that little tidbit. Sorry, Devin.
It's all good. We had a 1v1 last question, Hutchinson versus Denny. Is Hutchinson part of a DK tournament player pool, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Big Hurt coming in with the same 2 questions every day. FanDuel tournament, best position to spend and favorite game stack.
I think best position to spend currently, for me, it's going to be center, because we already know that point guard is going to be loaded up with Russell Westbrook. Like, he's going to be probably pushing 80%, which is fine. So I think at center, if you're getting Jokic, I think that's the next best spin, because clearly he's the next highest upside play on the slate.
What's the other center choice on FanDuel if you're not playing Jokic?
It's Howard.
Yeah, it's Dwight Howard, absolutely.
All right, moving on. Let's see.
By the way, our projections did update here at Lineup HQ, and I think it's just worth pointing out. Avdia, 32 minutes. We're projecting for about 23 points, and then the question was Hutchinson, and he's still minimum. He's 3K on DK, and that definitely can be useful. As is Jerome Robinson, who's starting as well. They're both projected for around 17, 18 points. So the projections like Avdia more. And his minutes are more solidified too.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, they absolutely should.
And you said Robinson was starting?
Yeah, I think so.
1v1 sure DK tournament, Hutchinson versus Robinson. Would it still be Robinson?
I think it's Robinson.
Picking apart that value.
That one's close. That one's real close.
Same position, I assume so. Oh no, Hutson's a small forward. Robinson's a point guard.
No, Robinson's point guard, small forward, unless they changed it before yesterday. That's what he was on DK yesterday.
Let's see. Moving on to Capo wants to know shooting guard plays on FanDuel tournament. Best pay up option.
I mean, Paul George. I think Paul George plays tonight. I think Paul George plays tonight, and I think Kawhi does it. I could be wrong.
I told you guys I was fading Paul George. I don't have anybody over Devontae Graham in my player pool at shooting guard right now. Everybody I have is under Devontae Graham.
And what's your favorite FanDuel punt?
If I'm straight up punting right now, with the current news that we have, it's got to be Hutchinson or Denny.
DK tournament, I need a guard under 4,400 for Adam.
Hold on. Under 4,400 guard? Man, you've got...
That's DK specific?
That was DK specific tournament.
It's kind of a dead zone, man. I don't see anything for that price.
I mean, you're gonna have to play some guys you don't like Matthews, Hampton, Luke Kennard at 3,400.
Roll the dice on getting some late Clippers news.
Yeah.
Or it's a 2-man swap, because that price is a dead zone.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's a 2-man swap.
FanDuel tournament best single entry point guard to pair with Westbrook for cheap.
FanDuel best point guard to pair with Westbrook for cheap.
Yeah.
You like MCW? You think he gets a decent amount of run tonight?
X button, especial. Hold on, give me a second. I'm going back to my player pool to see who I have in there. The cheapest is going to be Jerome Robinson, because we know he's going to play minutes tonight. He's 3,500. The next cheapest, I'm going out on a limb with Reggie Jackson. I'm going to see if I can get 25%. The only point guards I have outside of Westbrook right now are Scary Terry, Reggie Jackson, and Jerome Robinson. I'm fading every other 7K guy, hoping that Rozier has an upside game and outscores them. I've got Rozier projected for 42 fantasy points, which is aggressive, but that's where I am currently.
And that's about it for time, Dean. So if you want to go ahead and bring us home.
Yeah, stay tuned for Crunch Time. If you guys are Prey members, it's going to be the Quiet Storm, potentially there with Andy Means and Kevin Roth, taking you guys all up the lock.
That's not the name.
Breaks. What?
Quiet Storm. That's when it's late.
Yeah, I know. I that was just a little inside wink to you, basically.
Oh,
but we had that conversation pre-show. Yeah, baseball starting on Thursday, 11:30 in the morning. Myself, Blender, Derek Carty, Cheese is Good, Dave Potts via free premium. Crunch Time all the way up to lock as well. Thank you for thank you for watching the show. Thank you for participating. We do appreciate that. Do hit the like button on your way out. That is also appreciated. Turn on notifications, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks to Will. We'll be on later tonight talking to some sports cards. That'll be good times as well. Thanks to Evan for producing. This was Basketball. I was Dean. We're out of here. Holler.